19th. Has everybody had a chance to review those? Is there any discussion or questions? Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from December 19th, 2023?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approval of the bills. We had deposits in the amount of $51,183.82. Accounts payable in the amount of $19,203.49. Transmittals in the amount of $11,411.13. And payroll in the amount of $38,940.47. Any questions or discussion? Do I have a motion to pay the bills and approve the financial?
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Correspondence. Do we have any correspondence this evening?
There are no correspondence.
No correspondence. Well, we have the pleasure of having our House District 47 representative here, Mr. Bob Davis. If you'd please step and share some words with us, be greatly appreciated.
Right up here to the podium, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I thought I'd come over and see, we're switching gears from the summer interim topics and everything that we did this summer, and now we're getting ready for the budget session this year in Cheyenne. Or that'll be starting the 12th of February, okay? But this summer, I represented you guys on the Ag Committee, and we took a look at a lot of things, and one thing that did pop up that was of interest over here is that there's a statute that they're going to, what we suggest to remove any, it's about flow through pools. Okay, Saratoga has two flow through pools that are controlled by the Department of Ag, the Hot Springs at the end and the Hobo Springs. So due to the regulations and stuff like that, they're trying to reduce the burden. And so those things, with the luck of the legislation this year, should go away. So they will no longer be needed by the Department of Ag. Other things, the Rocky Mountain Power issue, it's settled now and everything after the hearings in Cheyenne. And then we're on the Sage Grouse Working Committee this year. I'm up with a recommendation for the governor. Haven't heard where that has gone yet, but that's kind of critical for Carbon County because all three representatives on that are from Carbon County. So that was good. So we had lots of input there. I was also assigned to work on a regulatory task force, try and reduce regulations that are burdensome to communities, for instance, in the building side, housing side, things like that. Try and streamline some of the permitting processes to make it a little easier. It's a good committee. I think it's got a lot to look forward to in this next interims next summer. Looked at was on a committee where we looked at the Medicine Bow RMP, which is coming up. They're going to be looking at the resource management program there. And so the input from your agencies, including here, the BLM, Conservation District and all that's going to be really important. We need to keep an eye on that so that it doesn't turn into something that is happening over there in the Rock Springs RMP, where they're trying to, I don't know if you're that familiar with that yet, where they're taking the ground, they control 3.8 million acres. And they're going to try and set aside an additional 1.8 million acres in what they call areas of critical environmental concern. And, the federal government's thoughts on that is to lock us out and keep us out. That's how they conserve that ground. But it affects jobs, recreation, tourism, industry, oil and gas, Trona, and all these are great big drivers for the state of Wyoming as far as revenue. So also the schools. There's a lot of things that the governor was able to extend the comment period to January 17th. We're looking at still doing that. Thursday, we'll be going over to the governor's forum on the RMP and what their proposed actions are going to be to the BLM and his response to that. And then, so we'll see how that turns out. And I'll try and keep you informed. If you have any questions, give me a holler, you know.
Are the US legislators working with you guys to help?
Yes, they are. They're all very, very aware of it. Harriet has been doing an extremely good job with it. So is Barasso and Loomis. I mean, they're applying some pressure back east there. And coincidentally, on Friday, the Secretary of Interior will be there in Rock Springs along with the BLM director from the state of Wyoming. They'll be over there with the governor. So we'll see some first hands-on, see what's going on there.
Right.
You know, because the policies set back east are not those necessarily reflective of Wyoming.
Correct.
And that even goes for the local BLM. But their policies are being directed from back east, not locally. So there's some things that need to go forth, I hope.
Yes.
We've also looked at the Colorado River Working Group, you know, how that affects, you know, last year we all remember the wonderful winter we had. And that kind of bought us a couple of years as far as the water to Powell and Meade. But the way things are looking right now, you know, maybe that was a temporary stay of execution, you know. But we need to look at that and see what's happened. You know, what's different on that side with the green is we don't have Seminole and Pathfinder and all this up here that's storing this water in the Platte for Nebraska. We don't have that issues over there on the green side. Not enough storage, you know, so that's been talked about. And let's see, that's kind of what I spent the summer doing. And I just wanted to find out if there's anything that you guys wanted me to look at over there in Cheyenne or, you know, keep you abreast of or anything. If you can call anytime or email me, I try and answer all that I can.
Are they gonna, is the governor gonna address affordable housing again anytime soon?
That's what that regulatory task force is about.
Okay.
Is to look at, there was 3 different areas and, you know, housing was one of them. And to see how we could streamline that, you know, as far as the permitting process. And, but the unique thing about the housing, it's not statewide, it's site specific, you know, and each area has its own needs. So it's hard to take a brush and paint a wide strip and address every issue. So that's it.
Well, wasn't there money set aside for that? Didn't the governor receive a bunch of money for that?
There is some money set aside for that, you know, from the, let's see, is it there? I've been reading US. Anyway, there is some monies out there, but with that money comes strings too. So the strings are being evaluated as to whether it's good for Wyoming to take that money
Okay,
or not,
okay.
you know.
Any other questions?
Hey, thank you.
Well,
Thank you,
for
Bob.
coming over.
Hey,
Greatly appreciated.
you know, last year I was gonna try and get here, but due to the inclement weather, didn't get it to happen.
There were a lot of plans canceled last year due to weather.
Yeah, there was. But anyway, if you guys need anything, please give me a holler.
Thank you for your card.
Yep, thanks for what you do.
Okay, well, I'll tell you, being a freshman, I thought I was never too old to be a freshman, but I was last year.
So were we. Thank you, sir. Okay. We'll move on to, does the council have any comments? None. Okay, we'll move on to reports from town hall. And it looks like we have Mountain State CPA and Consultants LLC invoice in the amount of $9,450. This is for the audit that's being worked on right now for the 21-22 audit. And hopefully, the way the girls have been working in the office, he'll have that done here, hopefully within a month. Is what we're hoping for. And then we can move on to the final audit and be caught up. But, are there any questions about this bill?
No.
Or would entertain a motion to go ahead and pay this bill?
I'll make a motion.
Have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Anything else from the town hall?
No, sir.
All right, we'll move on to the police department. Mike?
Good evening.
I'm Mike.
Happy New Year. Just a normal report tonight, since our last council meeting, had 139 calls went through our dispatch. We had written a combination of citations and warnings, 14 over the last 2 weeks. I did have some numbers from last year or from the first of the year, just to close the year out. We had total calls received, went through the Saratoga dispatch were 3,906. There were 148 citations and 220 warnings issued for a total of 368. We are working on some ordinances that obviously they have to go through 3 readings, so we're kind of trying to pull them all. So we aren't doing an ordinance a month, basically going to try to get some pulled together so we can do several at one time. Going to be a little monotonous, and I apologize, but we have a couple of holes in some of our ordinances. So been working with Patrick and the officers to try to get some of those addressed. I did have an opportunity to meet with Sheriff Hawken right before Christmas. We had talked about the cost sharing on the possibility of the VPN. That's not going to be an option for the sheriff's office at this point. They had a couple things come up that they aren't going to be able to do that with us. So I did get a copy of the budget to date from Karina today. I really didn't get a chance to sit down and talk about it, but that is something we're going to have to do sooner than later. So I think at the next council meeting, I'll have a couple of things that I can literally present to you and hopefully go forward on it. The thing about the VPN or the gateway is we got to have some sort of a backup for paging down in encampment. We just don't have that right now. $20,000 is a lot of money, but we just don't have anything. If something happens and we lose the dispatch here or can't, as we've been in the past, if we are unable to staff it for some reason, at least we'd have another opportunity. So, but I'll have some figures for you. But I did meet with the sheriff, and that's not going to be an option going forward. There were some things that we budgeted for. We had in our budget talks, one of them was what they call Power Phone. It's the CAD interface. That's going to come in a little bit cheaper than what we thought. We had budgeted 40. It looks like right around 34,000 is where that's going to come in. We only purchased the one vehicle so far, so we've got a little bit of money there, and we're kind of looking at some other things that we might be able to do some cost savings on. But I'll get an opportunity to go through the budget and really see where we're at over the next 2 weeks. So I'll be prepared next time to actually give us, not bring you some problems, but some options to help fix it. So, and that's really all I had today, unless you had anything for me.
Any questions for Mike?
I think so.
Concerns? Okay, thank you, sir. We'll move on to the fire department. Their report come in just briefly a few minutes ago, and they had 3 fire calls, 2 search and rescue calls since the beginning of December. On their food drive, they delivered food to approximately 20 families and 15 elderly homes. This goes back. This was actually under last year's budget. But they got a 5-inch hose and some bunker gear that was ordered last spring. Well, they just got it in, and we've got to take a look at their budget, see where we're going to put it. and everything. So they'll be in, it was approved under the last fiscal year, which we had nothing to do with. But the gear never come in, so the bill was never paid. I asked Karina and it doesn't look like we planned for that. So we'll see what happens and where their budget lies on that. And the part for truck number 13 is finally in Rock Springs, and they're looking at a way to get it over there next week to get it up and running. And then they have elections of their new officers tomorrow night. And he'll report back to the council at the next meeting who, if any changes are in their officers. And then they're gonna continue or resume their weekly training this month. I think they shut down for the holidays, so. That's all they had on the fire department. Is there any questions I need to take back to the fire department? Okay, we'll move on to the recreation department.
Good evening. A couple things to report at the rec department. Volleyball registration has opened up this week. And league play begins on January 17th. So far, we have one team signed up. We have upcoming ice hockey tournament scheduled for the 12th to the 14th. We've got 30 people signed up for that. So we're working on the schedule and some of the final logistics this week to get that going. We also have ice skates that will hopefully soon be available for the public to borrow. They've never been sharpened, so they are like skating on butter knives. So I'm working on trying to get them sharpened before that first skate. And that's kind of what has been going on over at the rec department.
Is there anybody around here that still sharpens ice skates?
I think Levi Wood might
Oh,
be able to help with that. If not, maybe a trip to Laramie. I don't know.
Do you know, Kim, if they were purchased intentionally dull like that?
They were
Because
purchased unsharpened, and so technically you're not supposed to skate on them until they've gotten that first sharpened because they're super dull.
I was wondering if
So-
maybe it was just a safety precaution.
No, it was intentionally purchased that way for what I.
Okay.
interesting. Well, good luck with that.
Right, so if you know anybody,
Are there any?
I have one too. I used to have a skate sharpening machine, so I sold it when I left Cheyenne.
Everything's going
Made
pretty
some
good over there?
side business. Anyway, that's the end of my report.
Everything going pretty good for you?
Yeah, it's busy, you know, the weather's cold now, so
Okay.
it's coming in to do the inside stuff.
Anything the council can do to help you?
Not at the moment.
Okay.
I'm working on some basketball stuff, so I'll have more with that once let me get volleyball up and going, and then we'll see what basketball brings, so, yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thanks, Kim.
We'll move on to water sewer joint, the Department of Public Works, and then the Water Sewer Joint Power Board and the Planning Commission. Mr. Emery.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year to you, Emily.
So just kind of a quick update that's kind of, I guess we could use the word cool. So we've been doing that well filled project out here, cleaning the wells out. So far, everything has gone really good. Everything looks good. They're cleaning out well. There's not a ton of stuff in them. We don't see a lot of byproduct of use over the last, 13, well, I guess 17 years, something like that. So that's a really good sign and encouraging for us and the community as well. And we've been able to, replace a downpipe. We had a cracked downpipe that we got to replace. But so far, most of the things look really good since we pulled those out of there.
Which one's the cracked downpipe in?
There was one that had one that was cracked. So we were able to get a joint and just get it replaced while we had it out.
Good.
So on the water side, we're still working on getting this project out. We're pushing to try and get it out as soon as we can, the River Street water line over here. Going over to the sewer side, we're cracking away at that lift station. We had a couple of setbacks. We're getting geared up and getting moved along. Those are kind of the two bigger things with the water and sewer. Streets, we got to did some geotech, which is the earth beneath the pavement condition on for this Crater Road project. And we should be getting that report back here shortly, which will kind of determine a little bit on what roads we do what on, move with that bigger road project. Hopefully we can get that and this out relatively close together, the bid packages, so we can save on some mow. Weed and pest, we've got the Carbon County grant that we got that turned back in and got reimbursed for that. That was $30,000. And then we got another one through the state that we turned in that hopefully doesn't look like we'll have to give any of that money back. Hopefully. And then we'll probably hear shortly with the weed and pest start looking at getting some air applicators hopefully lined up for this following season. You know, it's cold now, it's spring and be here before we know it. And those are kind of some overlying day-to-day things. This month, we'll spend some time looking at goals for this coming year. Those will be logistical goals for our programs and then goals for our employees, like how we're going to grow and get better. Like I can get better, we can always continue to get better. So we'll spend some time planning and working on that as well. Doing some year-end evals and stuff like that. Yeah, those are kind of the few bigger things. Obviously, as we've seen, we haven't had to plow a lot of snow, which has been really nice financially. So if we can keep that up, we'll continue to save a bunch of money there. Yeah, those are the kind of the bigger items. You guys have any questions?
I don't.
No, that's me. Okay, you want to move on to the joint powers board?
Yeah, one thing that came up at the last meeting, Russell Waldron was there. It looks like they're gonna start working on their bylaws. Again, we got an email on that. From what we understand, there are none. So it will probably be good to eventually, hopefully they'll get some developed and put in place. A lot of what we've been working on is that River Street project. That's been the main topic of conversation at those board meetings. And then also we'll be putting in an application, the WWDC application for this water tank up there, which is the state will come in and kind of do a evaluation of what it looks like to put the tank over here, what it looks like to put the tank over here. And then depending on their recommendation, they'll put the project together, build it, and then turn it over to us. I think that's kind of been the original plan since I got here. It's probably going to be a 2-year process. Those tanks are very expensive, so any help with that we can would be great. Next meeting next Wednesday.
Okay, thank you. You want to jump right into the planning commission?
Yeah, so next meeting we got a special use permit for some people up on the hill who want to do the 4-H, have some lambs, which is allowed through a special use permit. They turn the application in, publish it in the paper, so that will be on the next meeting. Transportation alternative master plan. We had some fruitful meetings with some various organizations in town. I think we're getting more input, which is good. I think we've been able to reach people who maybe privately haven't participated. So please come to the public meeting on January 17th, 5:30. Please come. You can't write your comments down if you don't come. So, and another thing with that, again, I'll reiterate, this is not locking us into certain projects. This is an evaluation of opportunities and a gathering of information. Like, I think there's a lot of things insinuated that this is to build a path from A to B. This is to evaluate if there's a path to build it all and where to put the path if we build one, or this or that. It's not roping us into anything. So that feedback's super valuable. You know, we spent, $20,000 to get $200,000 study done, but that might save us however many hundreds of thousands of dollars of not putting our money in the spot that the people don't want us to put it in. So come to the meeting.
Yes.
And that's,
Add to that, I've been to 2 different meetings. I went to the PSO and I spoke with several Lions members. both groups are open to have, Chris Vogelman, who's doing the study, come to their meetings, and I also encouraged them to go to the meeting on, January 17th. And, they shared input with me, and I said, it doesn't help me. You need to share your input with this committee so they know what you're after and how you're feeling about this. And, so we'll see where it goes. They've been invited personally.
Great, great.
What time did you say that was?
At 5:30.
5:30 till 7:30, I think.
Yeah, and they're gonna kind of do it from what we've kind of talked about is having it. So, if you show up late, it's not a big deal. They're gonna reciprocate some of that information more than once, it sounds like.
And it's really just a summary of the initial information they've gathered and prioritized what has been voted on and looked at some feasibility there, right? So
Right, so.
to share what we've gathered so far.
Correct. I mean, and they haven't, so before they go into spending all this time doing cost estimates, concept designs, we went from 40 projects down to, on the first tier, I think there's 12 or 14, and that's kind of showing, hey, these 12 or 14, this is what we've got. This is kind of where we're at. What do you think? There's no point in spending all that time digging through all those. That's where a lot of the time and energy of this thing is going to get spent, is in this development of those concepts.
Focus.
And
Yeah.
that's one of the reasons why they want more input too. Is they're trying to help them decide,
Yeah.
It may only be one, it may be two places they want it, maybe three, but they need more input. Any other questions for Emery? Do you have anything else? Okay, thank you, sir.
Thanks, Emery.
Okay, we'll move on to the Community Joint Power Board Center.
I don't have anything to report since our last meeting. I do want to correct the date here. So our next meeting for the PVCC Joint Power Board is the 8th. So next Monday at 4:30.
I see what happened.
I just got confused on that
Yeah.
with the,
Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll move on to the Recreation Commission.
and I don't have anything to report since our last meeting. Our next meeting is also January 8th here at 6 o'clock.
Okay, thank you. And we'll move on to the Saratoga Airport Advisory Board, and pretty much, we have one more letter of interest. Would you please read?
Dear Mayor Chuck Davis and council members, I'm writing to express interest in continuing service on the Saratoga Airport Advisory Board. I've served in management capacity for several diverse businesses within the television, telecom, timber, ranching, hospitality, and outfitting industries. My professional experience has included a significant amount of long-range financial and strategic planning, lease review, and negotiation, and oversight of complex business operations in a variety of settings. Currently, my primary role is as general manager of Silver Spur Ranches, which is the 4th largest cow-calf operation in the country. I also continue to serve as an officer and director for various business entities located throughout the country, which necessitates my frequent air travel in and out of Shively Field. My educational and professional experiences are in line with the duties of the Airport Advisory Board as set out in ordinance number 851. Given my frequent travel in and out of Shively Field, I am also intimately familiar with the airport and have a vested personal interest in its ongoing viability. The Upper North Platte River Valley community depends tremendously on the success of the airport in Saratoga, both in terms of business travel for those living there, as well as to support the tourism industry on which many local businesses depend. I'm therefore committed to serving the board in a manner that will promote the long-term success of the airport in a fiscally responsible and efficient manner that serves the community and industries that are so important to the valley. Sincerely, Thad W. York.
Any questions? Do I have a motion to appoint Thad York to the Airport Advisory Board?
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. That is all for the airport. Their next meeting is January 8th at 2024 at 3:30 PM here. Do you have a question? Yes.
Thank you.
Would you come to the podium, please?
New Year all. Just got a couple of real simple questions. On the letters, and I think we have a fantastic airport advisory board. One of the questions on the staggered of the people, how is that going to be handled since last month there were 3 letters of interest, which was passed, and then that denied.
That will be taken back to the board to see how they so choose to do it. It got away from everybody. Everybody was expired, so they would like to have it staggered. So if we can all possibly do it, it will. If not, they'll all come do it once, just like they did. We can't come to agreement.
And another question, is there any progress of changing the name from the Saratoga Airport Advisory Board back to the Saratoga?
None whatsoever.
Okay,
Okay,
go ahead.
thank you. Anything else on the airport? Okay, we'll move on to the South Central Wyoming Medical Service Board. I did not receive anything from the ambulance, and there's no representative here. Their next meeting is January 16th at 6 PM at the Saratoga Ambulance Barn. Is there any new business needs to be brought before the town? Okay. Executive session, the chair would entertain a motion to go into executive session, discuss personnel issues with the police department.
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Mike, would you meet us? Thank you. To end executive session and move back into open meeting.
Oh, a motion to exit executive session, no action is taken. Seal the minutes at 7:10 PM.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
I have a motion to reopen council meeting.
Make a motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All. Is there any further business need to be brought before the council? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.